Nobody sits you down and explains how this works. Not your parents, not your school, not your boss. Nobody draws you a map and says, here's how power actually moves in an organization. Here's who really makes decisions and why. Here's what separates people who move up from the people that spend 10 years wondering why they're stuck. You're just supposed to figure it out, and most people don't. They spend years working hard, doing what they're told, waiting to be recognized, and nothing moves. I was one of those people until I started paying attention to the right things. Today, I'm going to give you the map nobody gave me. I was 18 years old, working at a bus company. Parts department first, then moved up to operations. 5 different jobs, 1 paycheck. That's a different story. What I want to tell you about is the managers. In 5 years, I had 6 of them, and every single one followed the same pattern. They would come in, struggle, create problems, and eventually they left or got fired. And I was sitting there watching it happen, young, frustrated, asking myself, why does this keep happening? Then one of them got fired, and I did something that even surprised me. I applied for the job. An HR calls me in. I walked in ready with my resume, and the woman across from the table looks at my resume and tells me I don't meet the requirements. So I asked what the requirements were. Mechanical experience. They wanted someone who had worked on diesel engines for years, a mechanic to run an operations department. And right there, it hit me. They didn't know what they actually needed. They kept hiring the same type of person, getting the same results, and couldn't figure out why nothing changed. 6 managers in 5 years, all technically skilled, but none of them actually able to lead people. See, the problem was never technical, it was leadership, and they couldn't see it. Here's the first thing nobody tells you: being good at your job gets you in the door. That's it. That's the entry fee. What actually moves you forward is something different. How you communicate, how you handle pressure, how you make people around you better, how you make decisions when things aren't clear. They call these soft skills. I hate that name because there's nothing soft about them. They're the hardest thing to learn. You can't Google your way to them. You can't get a certificate for them, and they matter more than almost anything else once you're past entry level. When I got into consulting and I started working in different industries, manufacturing, call center, logistics, government, I saw this everywhere. The people moving up weren't always the smartest people in the room. They weren't always the most experienced, but they could walk into any room, read the situation, say the right thing, and get people to move in the same direction. I've seen a single, calm, clear leader turn around an entire operation, not by changing the process, but by finally holding people to a standard and doing it with respect. I've also seen brilliant, experienced people go nowhere because nobody wanted to follow them. So if you want to move up, stop putting all your energy into what you know. Start putting energy into how you lead and how you communicate. That's what actually opens doors. This one took me longer to accept, but it might be the most important thing in this video. I remember sitting at that office in the bus company. I was maybe 20, 21 at this point, and I'm looking around the people who had been there for 10, 15 years, longer than I've been alive in some cases. They knew everything: how the equipment worked, how the operation ran, where all the problems were. They've seen every version of every issue that place ever had. And they were making $15, $16, $18 an hour. I was making 11. 15 years of loyalty, 15 years of showing up, 15 years of knowing more than anyone in that building about how things worked. And they were stuck, frustrated about the same things I was frustrated about at 20. Good ideas going nowhere, nothing changing, just more years of the same. And that scared me more than anything else I saw there, because I realized time alone doesn't get you anywhere. Loyalty alone doesn't get you anywhere. You can give a place everything you have, And if the place isn't set you up to move you forward, you will just keep getting older in the same spot. I did the work of 5 people at that company. I had results nobody could argue with. I raised my hand for the leadership role, and they told me I didn't have enough diesel engine experience. And I could have stayed, worked harder, waited to be seen. Instead, I left. And the week I walked out, they started calling me, asking if I was really gone. That's when they understood what they had. So here's what I want you to hear. If you're doing the work, developing yourself, delivering results, and nothing is moving, be honest with yourself. Because the problem might not be you. You might just have outgrown where you are. Loyalty is worth something, but loyalty to a place that can't see you is just a slower way of going nowhere. Know when to push, know when to leave. The third rule is something I figured out early, but took me a while to fully act on. When I was at that bus company, watching good ideas get ignored, watching problems nobody was fixing, I kept asking myself why. Why is nothing changing? Why does nobody care? And eventually I understood. People cared. The problems weren't too hard. The issue was simpler than that. The people who could actually change things were the ones with a title. The manager decided the priorities. The manager decided the budget. A good idea from someone without authority was just noise until someone above them picked it up. I didn't want to spend my whole career being the person with good ideas that nobody acts on. So I made a decision. I was going to get to where the decisions happen. And that became how I thought about every move I made, every job, every skill I built, every relationship I invested in. Does this get me closer to being able to actually change things? And when I got into consulting and started seeing this across every kind of organization you can imagine, big corporations, small businesses, government, manufacturing, healthcare, the same thing was true everywhere. The people at the top weren't always the smartest. They weren't always the most experienced, but they understood where the decisions were made, and they made sure they were in that room. It's not about playing politics. It's about being strategic. There's a difference. Politics is about looking good. Strategy is about putting yourself where you can actually do something. So, why doesn't anyone teach you this stuff? You see, school wasn't designed to. School was built to teach you how to do a job, not how to navigate the place where the job happens, not how organizations actually work, not what it takes to move up when nobody is explaining the path. And the people who figure it out, a lot of them just did it by instinct. A lot of them don't have the words for it. They just operate this way and assume everyone around them understands the same things. I grew up without anyone explaining any of this to me. First in my family, to navigate corporate America at this level, I had to figure it out by watching, by making mistakes, by paying attention to what worked and what didn't. I'm not telling you these rules to sound smart. I'm telling you because I wish someone had told me what I'm telling you right now. It would have saved me years. Here's the honest question I want you to sit with after this. Think about where you are right now. Your job, your career, the place you've been putting in the work. Is it moving? Are you moving? Because if you've been showing up, delivering, and doing everything right, and nothing is shifting, it's worth asking whether the place you're in actually has somewhere to take you, or whether you're becoming one of those people I sat next to at 20, experienced, loyal, frustrated, and stuck. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. I'm telling you to be honest with yourself today. The people who figure this game out early don't do it because they're smarter. They do it because they stopped waiting for someone to explain it to them and started paying attention. You're paying attention. That's already different. I'll see you in episode 4.